It's YouTube Wednesday! Alright, so we are making a scarecrow mask, and what I wanted to show with this, really, was just that I'm taking any skull mask, honestly, any kind of a mask, and I painted it black, and then I am hitting it with the sponge and white paint in order to get that real hard contrast. And this is a technique that you can use to make any mask into a scarecrow mask or something usable in a field. So there's our trusty scissor drawer. And those are either hula skirts or they are Hawaiian table skirts. Both of them are great for these kind of masks. And you can see I'm putting it around the neck and I'm getting a measurement of that. I think I'm going to do probably 2 runs of the raffia. Now there's loose raffia, but buying it as a hula skirt or buying it as a table skirt is better economically. It's also a lot easier to attach it to things. Whenever I'm doing scarecrows, I use a ton of the table skirts or hula skirts. And sometimes Dollar Tree has artificial hula skirts, which are also lovely, and they are only $1.25. Because Dollar Tree went up. And I am using spray adhesive here. I'm using Super 77 from 3M. And that's just to hold that base down. And I put it on both parts. Use it like contact cement. I put it on the mask, and then I put it onto the hula skirt. And I put it on kind of upside down. And now this one shoots down. So this is going to be a nice connector between the actor's neck and the rest of the costume. A lot of times the neck gets uncovered. So I like putting something that has some dangle there at the bottom of the mask, but it won't impede movement. You don't get Batman neck. So here is another one that I'm doing, and now I'm hitting the whole mask. And this one is going to give a lot of nice secondary motion. And I'm just putting this on a turntable so it's easier. You don't need a turntable to do this, but it does help. So this is the second hula skirt or piece. And you can see that the straw, the raffia, is going up. It's not hanging down, it's going up. I could shape this into a mohawk. I'm just going to do like a nice tuft up on top of the head. And the spray adhesive is going to help it stick together. See how now I'm just bunching it? And then you want to secure that, so I'll take some raffia and I'll tie that together. Just a few nice overhand knots. And this way I still have that skull peeking through. I'm cutting the raffia around the base of the neck just so it's not so long it catches in the actor's armpit or it's too easy for guests to grab. Just giving that a nice trim, but I'm making it a jagged cut so that it doesn't just look like it was straight cut off. And you want to just craft this, okay? So yes, I put it on, and now I'm looking at it, and I'm going to tie it off, but you really want to think about the eye holes. Think about breathing. And I'll be able to bunch up the raffia in certain areas, and then that will allow me to make sure that that actor can see very well. This mask happens to have LEDs. You might not do this to a mask that has LEDs. There's a lot of options and things that you can play with when you're putting on the raffia onto a mask. Nothing ever comes to you finished. And sometimes you need to add a secondary element and make a piece multimedia. So this would be considered a multimedia mask because it's latex and the raffia material. And I think that adds a lot more realism. You know, imagine a mask that's leather and has straps and locks on it. This is watered down latex is what I'm putting on now. You know, that would look better if you actually added the straps and added the locks as 3D elements. It looks more realistic. I am putting latex on that knot up there because that knot is the latex is going to seep into that knot and it won't come untied. And if you think about the actor kind of bobbing his head back and forth, then think about all the motion that this mask is going to get. And a lot of times a subtle head tilt is just the perfect thing to do. And when you do that in a mask like this, you get a lot of what they call secondary motion, and it's a bigger movement, and you just get more response out of it. And the spray adhesive was there to help it get in place at first. It's really being held on by this watered down latex. The latex is probably 50-50. And I'm going to let that dry, and then as that dries, I'll be able to squeeze those together. The latex will stick to itself, and we'll be able to really shape the front of that mask. Here's just some nice hemp rope, and I am dipping that, I'm submerging that in the latex. Latex dries clear. It'll still look like hemp rope. It shouldn't look too much like a giant latex turd. It should just look like hemp rope with maybe a thin coating on it. And I'm going to wrap that around the neck a few times. I don't want anything loose where it can be used to strangle an actor, but I like that differentiation between neck and body. And the latex is going to make that be kind of all one unit when that dries. It'll be very hard to uncoil that rope. Once it's all the way dry, you can even cut the rope in the back so nothing actually loops around the neck. So now I have some alcohol. This is 99% isopropyl alcohol, but the store-bought 92% is just fine. And I'm just misting it down. And then I'm putting on some spray paint, because spray paint is alcohol-based is one way to say what it is, and then what it's made out of, and then the alcohol will allow you to thin it. So see how that is just spreading around now, and it's being thinned. I'm using fall colors here. I've got oranges and browns. I'm putting those in here on this mask. And now I put a hole in the mask, and I am zip tying that rope up there. That way it's much harder to snag or get yanked out of place, and it won't be a choking hazard to the actor. Always remember, if you're making a mask or a costume, there's going to be somebody inside of it, and try to think, if you were in there, what would you want or need? If it's a prop, it's less of a concern. A lot of activity happening back there in the shop. I always try to make a scarecrow, at least one every year, because there's something so Halloween about them. And now I'm hitting all of my zip ties with a little bit of brown. And this guy looks kind of scary. I like it. I like having the skull like peek out of the corn. That's really nice. So that way you see a creature, you can't really identify it, and then you really get to look at it, and you're like, oh, that's a dead thing in there. Look at all that movement you get. And that's Jake Farmer, everybody. That is a creepy... Here's the whole costume here. He has, corn legs, and he has these big arm extensions that he walks on. This costume is kind of insane.
Go make stuff!
All right, it's time for Patreon shoutouts. Let's give a shout out to J. Lowe, Roger McCauley Jones, Durandal Roland. Hope I got that right. I appreciate you. Jennifer Utzler and Ken Jones. Go make stuff.